everybody. Thank you for being here. My name is Sadaf Chaudry, and I'm in my last year at the pharmacy school here. I graduate in May, so that's exciting. And I'll be talking to you today about a project I worked on with Dr. Matroka, who's also here. Thank you for being here, and thank you for making me excited about pharmacogenomics. And so my topic is kind of a mouthful, so it's the evaluation of the use of a commercial genotyping service, 23andMe, to enhance understanding of pharmacogenomics in a cohort of pharmacy school students. So I'm going to kind of give you a background on what pharmacogenomics is, just so it's easier to understand, and then I'm going to walk you through the study we did and what we found. So what is pharmacogenomics? It's basically a field that's integrating the pharmacology of a drug with the unique genetic makeup of an individual, and then taking that together, you're going to see how the genes are going to affect your response to a drug. So pharmacology basically looks at like the mechanism of different drugs and how they act in the body. So drugs will often have a certain target in the body, and then my genetic makeup is different than your genetic makeup, and that target might be a little different in us because of that different genetic makeup. So given that, the pharmacology of the drug might work a little different in everyone. So that's basically what pharmacogenomics is looking at. Genotyping is the process of sequencing an individual's DNA sequence to basically determine that genetic makeup. So the genotypic service we used in the study was 23andMe. I'm sure you guys have seen the commercials and the videos. They're all over YouTube. And there's a lot of companies now. A lot of them are doing it. It's really up and coming right now and exciting. So the purpose and objective of our study, basically, the field of pharmacogenomics has really grown in the past decade. It's really rapid and exciting and growing, and it is integrated in our curriculum. So the accrediting body for the pharmacy education, they require us as pharmacists to learn about this because it is obviously something that's going to be important to our profession. So we wanted to see that if we actually had the students take part in genotyping and getting their genome sequenced and looking at their different drug receptor mutations, if that would help them understand pharmacogenomics better. It's always different seeing something on paper and then actually seeing it for yourself, seeing your own results. So our purpose was to see if this service would enhance the understanding of the pharmacy school students and also help us to better apply it in our professions as pharmacists. So basically, we allowed students to volunteer in this study, and they used the 23andMe kits, and they were able to get their results. And then we took a survey after. So we asked them questions, which I'll show you later, to assess basically, was this beneficial? Is this going to help them as pharmacists? Is this something that maybe we should implement in the curriculum for all pharmacy school students so that they better understand it? Oh. So again, we let all the students know via email if they wanted to participate in this, and then they were given instructions. So if you haven't taken the 23andMe, you get a kit and you spit in a little tube and you mail it back, and it takes a couple weeks, and then you get the results. Once the results were there, we were able to take the raw data and input it in two applications, Test to Learn and Promethease. And basically what those are is they give you an even further look into your genetic makeup. So it's able to tell you, you have this mutation of this gene, so that means that you'll respond poor to codeine, or you have this mutation, so you're more likely to have celiac disease. It gives you hundreds and hundreds of different things. And then after a month, after everyone was able to kind of look at those results and explore that, we sent out the survey, and then we put together the data. So I wanted you guys to understand a little further why this was an important study for us to do. I had a little video here, but it's not going to work, but it's okay. I'll explain it. So certain drugs, there are specific drugs. Actually, I have a little table. Certain drugs, their targets have different mutations that exist, and based on which mutation you have, you will respond to that drug potentially differently. So, for example, these drugs, they are eliminated through these different CYP enzymes. So each of us has different CYP gene alleles. So you may or may not have the mutant allele, you may have a normal allele. The classic example that we always learn in pharmacy school was the codeine example. So that's what the video was showing, but I'll explain it to you. So some people are intermediate metabolizers, they're extensive metabolizers, or they're poor metabolizers of codeine. And what that means is based on your genetic makeup, you may metabolize codeine faster than others, or a little slower than others, or extremely fast. So if I am a really poor metabolizer of codeine, there's kind of a complicated pathway, but to simplify it, basically I won't get the analgesic effect of codeine. So codeine will not be useful in me. So I will still be in pain during that dental procedure per se. Some people have the opposite problem. So something that's been discussed in the pharmacy world is, should we have patients take these genetic testing and we can find out what genes they carry, and then we can maybe gear their treatment to what their genes are. So that's something that's really been discussed. And all these drugs that you see, they all are affected by these different mutant alleles that patients potentially might have. So some people may not have a really good response to a certain drug, and before maybe doctors didn't know why that might be. And now we're learning that it might be because of their genetics. So this is something that a lot of people think maybe in 5-10 years from now it's going to be standard. You're going to walk into a doctor's office and you're going to take a genetic testing, and you're going to find out which drugs are good for you, which ones you shouldn't take. So that's something that is talked about throughout our curriculum. And again, we wanted to see if the students are being, they fully understand that, and if this 23andMe is going to help them out in that. So we basically took this survey after to assess that. And what we found, basically I had poor to fair, good, strong, true, false is basically the answers. What we found through these questions, we asked things like, how do you feel on your knowledge on pharmacogenomics? How do you feel about counseling a patient on it? Do you think that taking this 23andMe helped you understand it? Do you think that we are doing enough in the curriculum to integrate pharmacogenomics? So what we found overall was that students did not feel as if they were strong enough in pharmacogenomics to be counseling patients, to be talking about this themselves. We found that they did think the 23andMe test helped them kind of visualize it and really see it for themselves and understand it further. They all agreed that the test was relatively simple and user-friendly. That was 100% agreement. A lot of them recommended it to friends, families. So what we kind of took from that was that this might be a good tool for not just pharmacy school students, maybe undergraduate students, to integrate into genetics courses or different classes. As a student myself, sometimes I learn so much better from really seeing what the professor is talking about and not just seeing like a PowerPoint about it. So that's something that we did bring up, and I think Dr. Matroka has worked on trying to get that integrated in the curriculum. He is giving that to new students as an option to take the 23andMe and really have that hands-on experience. So I think that through this study, we were able to see that genetic testing kits can be a really good learning tool. And it could be used across pharmacy schools, it could be used in undergraduate, and just people who are interested. So a lot of people, when I tell them I did the 23andMe, they are curious to see, well, what did it tell you? How does it look like? So I included here a few of my screenshots of my 23andMe. So I am 98.9% South Asian. I thought I'd find out I'm like something really cool, but I didn't. And 0.8% European, which traces back to a Scandinavian ancestor. So that's cool. In terms of the other things it tells you, so it tells you your carrier status of different, different disease states. So for all of them, it said variant not detected. That means you don't have the variant that they've linked with this disease state. For example, cystic fibrosis, hereditary fructose intolerance, etc. And then it even tells you some cool things that are kind of weird, and I don't know if I ever would want to know, but asparagus odor detection, bitter taste, different things about yourself, your earwax types, if you're confused and want to know. And then it even tells you your DNA relatives. So you can message these people and say, hi, I have 0.35% of your DNA. I actually messaged all of them and no one replied. And then a little further back here, I had the coding example I was telling you. So this is actually through Promethease, which is where we took the raw data from 23andMe and we're able to input it in this. And it tells you if you have the normal allele for that CYP enzyme. So I do have the normal one, so coding for me wouldn't be a problem. But through this, you could basically find out if you didn't have the normal allele and maybe suggest not getting coding in the future. So those are some of the things that you can do with that data. That's all I have today. I'm going to open the floor to any questions. Thank you so much for your attention. No questions? Oh, yes.
How would you directly relate these findings to your personal clinical practice just from doing this study? Like what changes would you implement now as a practitioner?
I think my comfort level in counseling a patient on pharmacogenomics, or if they asked me, oh, hey, I saw a commercial on 23andMe, like, do you think warfarin is really the best drug for me? I think my comfort level has definitely gotten better. So I feel like I can more confidently talk about it and explain it just because I learn from tools like this. I'm also able to speak from experience if they ask me about these genotyping tests, which they do ask. So I do think it has helped. And in the survey, we found a lot of the students felt the same way. Like once you see it, you kind of understand a little better. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was with the help of Dr. Matroka. So if you go on if you take the 23andMe, there is a area on the website where it gives you the full raw data, and you can download Promethease and Test to Learn. Is Test to Learn available for everyone or just schools?
Yeah, you have to have an access code, and that's really only for the.
Okay, so for the Test to Learn, yeah, you have to have an access code. But for the Promethease, you pay $5. It was $5, right? Yeah. Promethease, you pay $5, and it tells you connect to your 23andMe so we can take the raw data. And then you connect to it, and it populates, and you're able to see all of it. It's really easy. You don't have to do anything crazy. Yes, Dr. Matroka?
First of all, I want to acknowledge that you came up with this all on your own, and I'm really proud of you for doing this.
Thank you.
And so let me ask you a kind of a trick question. How long is the information useful once you find this out? Does this test have to be repeated every time you go to get a new drug?
No, because your genome does not change.
Right.
So.
You get it done, let's say, as an infant, you're good.
Yeah. Which is nice because certain tests, diagnostic tests, you have to get very often, yearly. This is something it's there and you have it, and the raw data is always there.
Did you have any surprises for your own information?
Let's see. Oh, it said that I'm a deep sleeper, which is completely incorrect because you turn on a light and I'm awake. But maybe that's like pharmacy school messing with my brain. Yep.
How does some of the research talk about the reliability of 23andMe and some of that data compared to other laboratories or other
I tried to look into that because there's like this new test. I have a screenshot of it here. Have you heard of this, Dr. Matroka? It's called VitaGene. Where'd it go?
No.
But there's a difference between the reliability of the test results and the interpretation of the test. That's where you run into trouble. So if it says that you're this allele, there's a 99% plus chance that that's exactly correct. However, what that means in terms of your health is a totally different issue. Because generally, there's, as you know, there's multiple
Definitely, yeah.
genes that have affect any phenotype, and how you interpret that is, that's where it gets tricky. That's where the FDA gets concerned.
Exactly. So let's say it's telling you that you have the variant for celiacs.
Yeah.
There's so much that goes into that. You know, celiacs can be affected by environmental things. You know, your diet, what were you given in your diet growing up, where you live. There's so much that goes into that. So some people think it's wrong that these tests are claiming, oh, you have celiacs, when there's so much more that goes into it. And that's why there have been lawsuits with 23andMe in the past, and kind of that iffy area. But that's with everything. Every diagnostic test, everything has a chance of error. So in terms of how good 23andMe is, there's this new one called VitaGene or Vita something that's claiming that they're the best on the market. They say that they have a superior genotyping technology. And I tried to look into that, and all that I really got from it was they basically have a chip or something that does it much quicker than some of the other companies. But I think, honestly, they're all using the same technique, Ancestry. They're all using the same things. Yeah. Any other questions? All right. Thank you.